Hey everyone, today I'm going to be looking at the driver lineups for the 2025 F1 grid. First off, we're going to look at the teams which will stay the same, and then we'll move on to kind of a lineup of dominoes that will fall, resulting in driver changes and swaps. You'll understand more when we get into it. So first off, we'll start with McLaren. I expect them to have three reserve drivers for the season, starting off with their two reserve drivers for this year, Pato O'Ward and Rio Horikawa. The next season, after impressive performances in F2, I think Bortoleto will also join the fold as a reserve driver for some races where he's not got F2 on. Lando and Piastri will both stay with McLaren for the foreseeable future, at least to the end of the 2025 season. And next up, we have Alpine. Now, Alpine currently have Dillon as a reserve driver, who will stay, but they'll also take on Victor Martins, who will finish F2 higher up in the standings, probably top 3 somewhere, but they will keep both Gasly and Ocon, who will do alright. They're both very similar caliber drivers, which I think is kind of added protection for them, because not one of them will outdo the other and vice versa, so they're both kind of protecting each other almost. And also the Alpine team will kind of, they're French, they have the French drivers, it all kind of works as long as there's not a lot of teammate fighting like we saw in the previous season. Then I think they'll keep both Gasly and Ocon. Moving on, we have Ferrari. We know Hamilton's going there, we know Leclerc's got a new long-term contract, and I expect it to be the same as that. Hamilton and Leclerc with Sainz going. Their reserve drivers, they love Giovinazzi, they love Swartzman, but maybe they might take a punt on Dino Beganovic, who is currently racing in F3, looking to win that title and go on to F2. He could also be a reserve driver for some races in 2025. And then Haas next, who kind of rely on Ferrari for drivers through the academy, and I think they're going to get rid of a driver, either Hulkenberg or K-Mag. I think they're going to get rid of K-Mag, keeping Hulkenberg, and drafting in new young Oliver Behrman, who's going to probably win the F2 title and earn that promotion up to a F1 team with Haas. He's still going to be a Ferrari driver, but be loaned out to Haas. And then the regular reserve drivers for Haas of Pietro Fittipaldi and Kushmaini. And then moving on to the Red Bull team. Verstappen's staying, obviously, but will Perez? Now I think Perez is going to be kicked out of this team. He might show up in the future. So who will replace him? Well, there's good candidates. You have Daniel Ricciardo, Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson. Maybe they could take Lando. Well, we know that they don't, one of my predictions. Maybe they take Carlos Sainz. I have them going with Ricciardo. Honestly, I think Christian Horner has a bit of a love for Ricciardo, and I don't see him overlooking him if he performs this year, which I think he will, given that RB car looks kind of fast. Then for reserve drivers, I think they have Isaac Hadjar and Pevin Pemati, who are both driving F2 this season, as well as Arvid Lindblad, who will be promoted from F3 to F2 after probably getting top 3 in that category. Next up is Aston Martin. I think there will be one change. We all know Stroll's staying, but Alonso is going. He's going somewhere else. Alongside Stroll will be Yuki Tsunoda. With the Honda connection coming into Aston Martin, I think they'll bring along their driver, Yuki Tsunoda. They'll join the Aston Martin team and they'll say, we want a driver. Here he is, Tsunoda. Red Bull they kind of have to keep him. He's just kind of there. He's not kind of competing for that Red Bull seat. He's not really kind of doing much. So I think they'll be fine letting him go and bringing in some of their juniors. But as a reserve driver for Aston Martin, they will keep Drogovic. I don't think he'll get the promotion, sadly. I don't think he has the kind of the name of the Aston Martin wants or the kind of experience that they're after. And they'll also promote Jack Crawford, who is one of their junior drivers in the F2 series as well. Moving on to the RB team, the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. I think with their 2 seats open, with both Ricciardo and Tsunoda departing the team, they're bringing in 2 new faces. One of them won't really be a new face in Liam Lawson, but the other one definitely will be. I think they'll bring in Ayumu Iwasa, who currently came 3rd last season in F2, and is racing in Super Formula, which Liam Lawson raced in the previous season. So 2 new younger drivers. Liam Lawson's got a bit of experience there. Yeah, their reserve drivers. They got a range to choose from. Same as Red Bull with Hedger, Marty, and Lundblad. Moving on to a bit of a Mercedes theme for the next 2. So we have Russell. He's got a teammate Lewis Hamilton departing to Ferrari. Who's going to be alongside him? Probably Fernando Alonso. He has the experience. He likes switching teams. He does well wherever he goes. He's a very solid driver. He's got the age profile, and he can kind of be there for a few years where one of the next drivers, who I'm going to mention, has time to develop and then come in alongside George Russell as the number 1. They're going to keep Vesti and Schumacher as their reserve drivers. Next up is Williams. Now Albon is still there. For me, personally, I think it's not quite the season for him to be moving. People will look at him and be like, sure, but they'll also look at their Red Bull season and be like, maybe not. And they'll go for a more experienced option, and like Alonso or Ricciardo for those Red Bull and those Mercedes seats. Alongside him, I think they'll get rid of Logan Sargent and bring in another youngster, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I think he'll prove himself well in F2, and he's so young that they'll give him a bit of time to develop, maybe a season to get in, and then a second season where he actually push on. Then maybe in the 3rd season, they can then bring him to Mercedes. The reserve drivers, I think, instead of having the Mercedes link, they'll kind of start to make their own academy better, so that they can bring in juniors of their own, like Kimi Antonelli. So saying that, I think that they'll bring in O'Sullivan and Colapinto for next season as their reserve drivers, who are currently on their academy books. Then lastly, but not least, we have Audi, who are getting 2 new drivers, I think. First off, there's a very strong connection with his dad, being a driver for the Dakar Rally seat. It'll be Carlos Sainz. He's got no seat next season, and he could easily go to either Mercedes or Red Bull. I think he'll take the punt of having a season to mix in with the Audi team, and then the 2026 with the rule changes, he can push on from there. So he'll give himself a year where he just sits in that team. Alongside him, I think having the 50-50 split between Sauber and Audi for next season, I think they'll want one of their own in. And it's not going to be either Bottas or Zhou. I think they'll get rid of both of them and bring in Theo Pourchaire, who's currently racing for them in Super Formula, the reigning F2 champion. He needs a race seat. He's young. He's probably the best junior out there at the moment in terms of age profile experience. And then the reserve for the team will probably be Zane Maloney, who might go to Super Formula after performing in F2 this current season. He'll be looking to win that. Those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. If you have any feedback, let me know. Peace.